Hello, everybody. Where am I? Oh, come on, man, really? I'm invisible. Sorry. I have to say, the company Elgato, not very happy with their hardware. Um, I just keep running into problems with them. So, I keep trying to give them. They have things that I'm like, oh, well, this is great. This little box could replace my other box. But then I install it, and then everything kind of goes haywire, and it doesn't work. So I might be in a foul mood today, but I'm happy to be here to show you guys films. And that last film was stunningly beautiful. It was basically like a master film, but didn't have a soundtrack on it, which is unfortunate. So now I need to track down a soundtrack, which might exist in the 9,000 films that we've been going through for Cornet. But I say that I'm Skip Alzheimer, and I'm not very happy with Elgato right now. This is the AV Geeks lunchtime streaming show. That's what it is. So behind me, I have a film on the scanner right there, and you notice that there's a white thing on this side, and that is because when I was doing a test of it, the film was very warped, and so it started to make what I call pottery, where it was beginning to kind of come off the core, and if you let that happen too much, then it'll all fall off, and it will be very sad. So that little foam core thing we made as a way to kind of guide the film and keep it up against the core. So there you go. Here's actually a really awesome film. We did some color tweaking on it, and found out that it's very contrasty, but the music is great and the content is great. Here is Rope Jumping. I hope this gives you as much joy as it gave me. Enjoy.
Come on, let's jump rope. Ready? Go. Everyone has fun jumping rope. From the littlest girl to the largest boy. Star athletes enjoy jumping rope as part of their training. All kinds of stunts can be done with a jump rope. Just take your pick. To start at the beginning, practice some rope jumping skills without a rope. Move your arms as if turning. Jump in place, lightly. Then combine the movements. Now let's add a rope. The rope should be long enough to go from one shoulder, under the feet, and up to the other shoulder. The ends of the rope are knotted. Starting with the loop behind the ankles, single forward jump is the easiest to do. Then add another small jump for double jump. This is single hop on one foot. Most everyone can do this with a little practice. Skipping in place is like regular skipping with the rope added. You can also move as you skip. The rope is turned backward for back. You can do either single or double backward jumping. Rope twirl is fun. Jump, jump, twirl, twirl, jump, jump, twirl, twirl. Cross-arm skip is easy if you cross your arms far enough every other time you turn the rope. Blinking skip is a simple folk dance step combined with rope jumping. Alternate hop with a leg swing is another rhythmic rope jumping skill. It is possible to turn completely around in either direction while jumping rope. Now some fancy jumping with single ropes. This is harder than it looks. Just try it sometime. So far, we've seen a few plain and fancy things that can be done with a short rope. What about using a long rope? To begin with, try jumping over a swaying rope. Then do a stand-in with the rope turned overhead. After the stand-in, you can try running in and jumping the long rope. Have you ever acted out this jump rope rhyme? 1, 2, tie your shoe. 3, 4, shut the door. 5, 6, pick up sticks. 7, 8, lay them straight. Can you do this very long without missing? Ask your rope turners to wiggle and ripple the rope near the ground and try it. Turning around while jumping rope takes good balance. These are quarter turns. Now half turns. And last, a full turn. Running through a turning rope must be timed just right. It can be done without a jump, then with 1 jump and out, then 2 jumps and out, 3 jumps, and so on. Running through may also be done as follows. This boy runs into the long rope while jumping a short rope. Can you do it? This is double Dutch, with 2 long ropes turned at once. Now keep your eyes open for some long rope surprises. This is like an elbow swing done in a long rope. 2 boys turn while the girls circle 4 hands round. Part of the success of skillful rope jumping like this depends on the turners. They work while the others enjoy the fun of jumping and experimenting with different stunts. Do you see what I see? A long rope and 2 short ropes in a long, long rope. Out go the short ropes and the middle girls dance. This would be fancy footwork even without a rope. Let's just sit back and enjoy it to the end.
Love it. Really, it reminds me of another film we have called Rhythmic Ball Skills. It's just so good. Just the music and then the kids kind of doing and all that stuff's really phenomenal. Let's go to a wild place with a monkey rainforest. Enjoy.
Let's go to a wild place and see what's there. Let's look at some of the things that live together in this wild place. This monkey rainforest. We're in a forest where monkeys live. It rains for a little while almost every day. That's why it's called a rainforest. A tropical rainforest. There's the river that runs through this forest. The forest is a jungle only near the river, where trees and other large plants grow all tangled together. Away from the river, only small plants can grow among the trees. The air is very damp here in the rainforest. Moisture collects on spider webs. Animals like tree frogs can live here because the air is so damp and warm. It is dark and warm in this forest, but not hot. And even though the air is damp, the ground this scorpion walks on is dry. The ground in the rainforest quickly soaks up the rainwater. Many insects, especially ants, are everywhere on the trees and on the ground. In this forest, trunks of big trees are very thick and strong. Climbing plants, like vines, grow up them. Other plants grow on the tree's branches. These hanging plants don't send roots down into the soil, but take everything they need from the air. Here is where most of the larger animals of the forest live, like the howler monkeys. They use their tails to help them move through the trees. They eat leaves, flowers, and fruits. Monkeys live close together in small family groups and hardly ever come down to the ground. The sloth also spends almost its whole life in the trees. It usually hangs upside down and moves very slowly. It holds on to the branches with its long, sharp claws. Sloths move slowly along the high branches. Clinging to the branches, sloths eat and sleep in the trees. Many other animals, like lizards, live in the branches of the trees. Many animals get their food from the pollen and nectar in flowers that grow on the trees here. The tamandua is an anteater and looks for its food on the branches. A tamandua licks up ants with its tongue. The jaguar is the largest animal here. It hunts on the ground for smaller animals. It also eats fish. The flowers attract bees and other insects. At night, bats feed on the flowers. Hummingbirds also drink nectar from the flowers. They can hover in front of the flowers as they suck the sweet liquids. Hummingbirds are tiny. Their feathers have many colors. Not all the birds in the monkey rainforest drink nectar. Toucans eat fruit. Other birds eat insects. Most of the birds of this rainforest live among the high branches of the trees, where the monkeys live. Colors of butterflies help protect them too. In the shade, they may be difficult to see. A brown butterfly is hard to see when it's not moving, but when it moves, the dull colors of some of the animals help to protect them. This lizard's brown color makes it hard to be seen on brown branches. From the tops of the tallest trees, spider monkeys can see a long way over the rainforest. Here, where birds like the white hawk live, there is more light, and the air is hotter and drier. The birds eat other animals, like snakes, that they find in the trees. On the big trees, fruits grow high up in the sunlight. When they're ripe, some of the fruits fall to the ground. The fruits have seeds that new trees can grow from. But more often, animals will eat the fruits. This is an agouti. It's come out of its burrow. It often does when it hears the fruits fall. Now, don't forget, this is a rainforest. A lot of rain falls in a very short time here. But the storm doesn't last long. The rainwater quickly runs off into the rivers or soaks into the ground. Here in this wild place, this monkey rainforest.
XC. Did anybody guess what that was? Yeah, 1990. Yeah, XC, the Roman numerals. So X is 10, subtracted from C, which is 100. And there you go. 1990. This next film is called Dance Little Children. And is it about dancing? Or is it about something else? You figure it out. This came out in I feel like 1960. So it's really fascinating. And it was made by Centron for the Kansas Department of Public Health. Enjoy.
towns like this town of Oakdale all across America. Thousands of communities with decent, hard-working citizens who go about their activities apparently unconcerned and unworried. Although, unknown to them, disaster has struck. In Oakdale's evening paper today, there appears an article reporting several cases of syphilis among teenagers in the community. First knowledge many of the citizens will have of their city's plight. That newspaper will land on the doorstep of nearly every house in town, and people in all kinds of homes will read the article and assume it has no meaning for them. Remember the girl who lives here. Her name is Lynn Corwin. We will see her again as we attempt to understand and learn whatever is to be learned from this report on Oakdale. Remember these men too, for they will play a vital role in Oakdale's struggle to free itself from this disease. Dr. Adam Jameson, private physician, and Dr. Ralph DeForest, head of the local health department. And finally, remember Edward Grover, who has a son named Hal, a son who also figures in this report.
Did you see this VD story? I don't know what's gotten into Kyle Foster. He's run a fine family newspaper for years, and now, what's he want to print something like this for? About people like that? Besides, Kyle knows as well as I do that this VD thing is licked. Syphilis can be cured in no time, and yet he publishes this scare stuff like an incurable plague was on us, like every kid in town was involved. Well, my son isn't.
I had a lovely time, Hal.
Yeah, sure. I'm glad you did. You're all right. Well, look, it's late.
Will I see you tomorrow?
No, not tomorrow. Some of us fellas are going to the drag races over the weekend. But I'll call you sometime when I get back.
Fine. I'll be waiting.
Well, I'll be seeing you.
Lynn? Yes, Mother.
Oh, I guess I must have dozed off. I was just going to rest my eyes for a minute. What time is it?
Oh, it's just a little after 11.
You're home early. Everything go all right?
Oh, perfect. I still can't believe it. Mom, he took me to the country club. Imagine me, dancing at the country club with Hal Grover. I wish you could have been there, Mom. They even had a combo. Thanks, Mom. Thanks for making me this dress. I know you should have spent the time sewing for your customers, but the dress was exactly right. I didn't feel a bit out of place.
Well, when I sew for Hal's mother and her friends, I see the kind of dresses they wear, and
I know Hal was impressed, and I think that's why he took me to the country club. He wanted to show me off. He likes me, Mother. I just know he likes me a lot.
Well, then, dear, what the dress cost was worth it.
Unfortunately, the final cost of the dress has not been counted. The price that Lynn Cohen must pay will be a high one.
Going up to bed now, dear? Tell me all about the dance while we get ready to dress.
The dress, like many other things in today's world, is part of an enormous subtle pressure which our times put upon young people. Evidence of the pressure is plentiful almost anywhere you go. Evidence of the worship of sex appeal, as if it were the final essence of personality. Who is to blame if young people respond to this pressure, reenacting in the privacy of parked cars a theme hurled at them from every side? Who is to blame if they respond to what an anxiety-ridden world seems to be telling them?
Dance, little children.
Dance faster, little children.
Don't be grim. There's a time for every hand.
The lyrics in the shadowy room may be suggestive, but at that they suggest something more human than most of the headlines around the spinning globe.
For every guy. Well, it's so thrilling when you're willing to go all the way through, man. It's all right on the moonlit night. Dance, little children. Don't be grim. There's a
Faster, 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 race to live while you may. And a part of the frenzy to experience, to learn about everything, takes Hal Grover and his friends to another part of the state, to participate in the weekend meeting of drag racers from all over the area. But drag racing is not the city has to offer.
dance, little children. Don't be shy. There's a girl for every guy. Well, it's so thrilling when you're willing to go all the way through, man. It's all right on the moonlit night. Oh, baby, won't you take a chance, little children? Don't be grim. There's a hurt for every hint.
How much longer are they going to be? You think Hal can find some other place besides our room? Man, I'm tired. I want to go to bed.
Hal and his women. Oh, finally.
Yeah. Hey, check that. Come on, give up.
Still never quits.
Well, don't you even have to take her back where you found her?
Ah, she doesn't live far. Besides, she has to go home alone. Her parents are the strict kind. They don't allow her to go out with boys. So she can go home and tell them about meeting a new girlfriend. Holland.
When I turned up the third case of primary syphilis in 10 days, I knew Oakdale was up against it. And I don't mind saying I was amazed. I've been out of medical school for 15 years and haven't seen a handful of cases. And now, 3 of them in 10 days. And I'm not the only doctor in town reporting cases. It looks like a real outbreak.
Well, that's for sure. And from the reports you and the other doctors have sent us, one that's pretty well confined to kids from 12 to 19 years old. What's more, it's too big for a health department this size to handle on our own. That's one reason we've asked for assistance from the state health department. They're sending us John Kemp, who is especially trained for this work. Mrs. Elliott has been interviewing the patients you and the other doctors have sent us, but she can only do so much. A public health nurse has a lot of other duties.
Hello.
Well, hi, John. We were just talking about you. You know Mrs. Elliott. This is Dr. Jameson, president of the County Medical Society. Doctor, this is John Camp. He's field representative from the venereal disease program.
Mr. Camp, we have a lot of work to do.
Every doctor in Oakdale has a lot of work to do, including Dr. Sam Holdeen. Dr. Sam, to those patients who have known him for many years.
Won't you step in then?
Why, hello, Lynn. I'm glad to see you. Since we got you through the tonsillitis stage, I haven't had much chance to keep acquainted.
Oh, I don't think I'm really sick now, Dr. Sam. But this stuff is a nuisance, and I'd just as soon be rid of it.
All right, let's find out about this stuff.
Well, it's a breaking out. I tried to hide it with makeup, but it's all over me. Mother thought it might be the 3-day measles, but I may have had them.
Well, let me call the nurse and we'll check you over. Miss Day, would you come in, please?
Thanks a lot, Edna. Well, Dr. Sam, what do you think it is?
Could be a number of things. Maybe an allergy to some food. And writing you a prescription that may help. You use this for a couple of days and let me know if there's no change.
Okay, I will. I feel better already now that there's something I can do about it. Well, bye.
Oh, goodbye, Lynn. Give my regards to your mother. It could be an allergic reaction. That rash isn't entirely atypical. It looks like syphilis. Lynn Corwin? It couldn't be. Now hold on, Sam. You're a doctor. You know VD doesn't play favorites. Just because you brought that girl into the world and have taken care of her all her life doesn't make her immune. Why didn't you take a blood test? Because it just couldn't be.
As doctors are human, so there may be in their hearts the wish that some things just couldn't be. But as doctors are men of science, dedicated to the welfare of all their fellow beings, that wish must give way to a review of the facts. And the facts leave no room for wishful thinking. In the long years of his practice, Dr. Sam has too often seen the final tragedy of latent, untreated syphilis. He has seen those whose minds were destroyed, whose bodies were horribly crippled. And he has seen helpless babies, born of syphilitic mothers, the most tragic victims of all. What Dr. Sam knows only too well wipes out every trace of his momentary wish that such things couldn't be where Lynn Corwin is concerned. Especially with Lynn Corwin, one of his children. Such things must not be. Syphilis can be cured, and if, regrettably, Lynn has syphilis, she must be cured.
Lynn, this is Dr. Sam. I think maybe you better...
As Lynn Corwin makes an appointment with Dr. Sam, other doctors have sent in young people whose disease has already been diagnosed for appointments with John Kemp, the field representative. John Kemp's job is not an easy one. Nobody wants to hear what he must tell those he interviews, and nobody wants to tell him what he must find out. For syphilis can be halted only if everyone involved is located and examined. With the approval of their personal physicians, John Camp interviews every patient diagnosed as having syphilis to learn the names of all those with whom the patient has had sexual intercourse.
I appreciate your bringing your daughter down, Mr. Nedrick. The interview is confidential, though, so if you'll just take a seat in the hall.
Yeah, I have a seat in the hall. I just brought her in to see if you could get it out of her. I can't find out what kind of trash she's been running with.
Please take a seat in the hall, Mr. Nedrick.
Oh, I'm leaving. You're welcome to her. She's no daughter of mine.
The parents of teenagers who have blundered blindly into infection are sometimes more blind than the children they condemn. John Camp is all too familiar with typical parental reactions.
It's that sex education they get in the schools. If my boy hadn't known about such filthy things, he wouldn't have got curious, and he wouldn't be sick. I didn't want him to find out. Not me nor his daddy told him nothing. But some other busybodies did.
Oh, I'm surprised, all right. But only that he had the guts to do it. He's the biggest penny waste I ever saw. I sowed my wild oats when I was a boy, but, well, I didn't think that kid of mine had it in him. Look, I'm not going to preach at him. It's the church's job to preach.
My husband and I can both tell you it's not Junior's fault.
It's all his fault. I just can't do a thing with him anymore.
Confronted with those who have been judged, who come to him even under the best of circumstances, ashamed and afraid, John Camp acts neither as judge nor prosecutor. He is an investigator dealing with the facts.
No, you didn't get syphilis from a toilet seat, Bill. You got it from sexual intercourse with somebody who had it. Now, these are the people that we have to talk about, for their protection as well as for yours.
Nobody wants to talk, but because John Camp sees beyond the patient to the welfare of the whole community, he must make these youngsters realize their responsibility.
All right, Bill. Now, what about your very best girl?
There isn't any. I haven't got a best girl.
You wouldn't want to walk out of this room with somebody's life in your hands, would you, Bill?
No, but she's all right.
Bill, that's something a doctor has to decide. Now, her name is...
Her name's Betty.
Her name is Mary.
His name is Jack.
Her name is Susan.
Roberta.
Bob.
Joanne.
The names are many, and there is usually more than one. For the patient must tell the names of all sexual contacts within the infectious period, if the chain of infection is to be broken. What makes John Camp's job more difficult and increases the danger to the community is the fact that there is sometimes no name at all.
All right, Tom. Who else?
Nobody. Just them. Just them and some girl at the ballpark. I didn't even catch her name.
Well, where does she live?
Who knows? It was a night game. We never got out of the park.
Well, tell me what she looked like. Anything you can remember about her.
Oh, she was just a pickup.
She may be the reason you're sitting where you are now.
If she is, I wish I'd never laid eyes on her. She really gave me the come on. And her a foot taller than me. Oh, she had sort of light blonde hair.
Starting with a known hangout, the ballpark. With only a vague description of a girl, the field representative tries to find one of the known contacts of an infected person. And here, as with all other cases in Oakdale, he is successful in locating a potential source of syphilis. The tall, aggressive blonde. Unfortunately for other communities, a number of contacts are named in surrounding towns. Locating a possibly infected boyfriend in Ashton may be simple. Since Ashton is across a state line, another state health department is alerted to find the boyfriend. Another field representative continues the search, perhaps finding that in our increasingly mobile society, the search has become more complicated. The job of this field representative now becomes one of knocking on doors in the last known neighborhood, seeking clues, asking, continuing to ask, until he finds someone who knows where the Farleys, or the Hagans, or the Smiths have moved. To California, to New Hampshire, to Mexico. The Oakdale outbreak has spread its tentacles nationwide, crossed an international boundary. It is not and has not been from the beginning Oakdale's problem alone. Syphilis is not only an individual as well, as Hal Grover's father is finding out.
I always thought you were a good doctor. But now I'm going to find out if there's any legal action that I can take. It looks to me like you're violating medical ethics. What a doctor treats a patient for is nobody else's business. But you had to call in the whole health department, subjecting a boy to that kind of questioning.
Ed, those interviews are confidential. If you know what the boy was asked, it's because he told you. As for me, I was following good medical practice and obeying the law. VD has to be reported to the health department. Protection of the public is more important than the temporary embarrassment to your boy.
Him embarrassed? His mother is sick with mortification. And I can't stand to look my friends in the eyes whether they know what's happened or not. But he's not embarrassed. I told him I didn't even want to claim him for a son. You know what he said? He looked at me as bold as brass. And he said, "You never did." I bought that boy everything in the world he ever asked for. Bicycles, ponies, car. He's got the best clothes and the biggest allowance in town. What more can he want?
I don't know. Maybe he wants the thing he seems to have been looking for pretty desperately. Somebody who cares.
I wasn't worried when she was out with him. He came from one of the best families in town.
If it just wouldn't make it harder for Lynn, I'd haul Hal Grover out in the town square and beat him within an inch of his life.
Well, that might be the least of his troubles. I believe Lynn, and I think you do too, when she says he was the only one.
It isn't all Hal's fault. I could have... Oh, I just stopped to think. But I wanted him to like me. Mom said she wasn't worried when I was out with him. But I was the one she couldn't trust.
Parents who will make the difficult effort to understand. With Dr. Sam's help, Lynn Corwin will be cured of the physical disease, although she may never be free of its emotional consequences. The 50 or more young people who are victims of the Oakdale outbreak will... The outbreak in Oakdale will be over. The local health department's file marked closed. But somewhere, in a city where a drag race was held, is one who was forgotten, whose name, if it was ever known, was not reported. Is this your town? Is this your daughter? Is this your son? Dance on, little children.
Dance, little children. Dance, little children. Dance, little children. Dance, little children.
I love that film. so there's a reason I collect venereal disease films, and that is one of the reasons. Besides that, I don't know, was that song a toe tapper? Dance, little children. I don't know, maybe so. But it's the melodrama associated with it. And basically the idea that this film existed because there were problems like this, where teenagers were having sex and were spreading syphilis and gonorrhea in 1960, before they talk about the sexual revolution, which is like mid to late 60s. This was going on in middle America. And why was it a big deal? Well, untreated syphilis can spread like crazy, and it also can do a lot of damage to people's bodies, to their hearts, to their brains, to their nervous system, to their muscles, to the reproductive system. And what happens is you get it, you get a sore, then it goes away, and you think, oh, it just went away. And with women, they can't. It's usually internal, so they don't see it. And it's only when they start getting the secondary syphilis, then they're like, something's going on. Like, my hair's falling out. I'm getting this weird rash. So there was a cure for syphilis at this point, but they needed to track down people. So I have a couple of films that talk about contact tracing, about naming your contacts so that they can go and figure out where folks are, and so they can get them treated. And this is what was happening before penicillin or antibiotics were used to treat syphilis, because it was really epidemic. So that's why there was that response, and it seems a little crazy. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in today. I think we had a spectrum of different things that we showed, and the majority of these films gave me great joy. Seeing a sloth eat leaves gives a lot of people joy, my sister in particular, and I enjoy it. But thanks for tuning in today. Very much appreciate it. Even when I'm down, showing films to you guys and reading your comments always lifts me up a little bit. So thank you so much for that. We will see you again tomorrow. Everybody, take care.